Welcome everybody to both sides of the conversation. I'm your co-founder and co-host tonight, John Henry. We are coming at you guys again with another Educational Thursday. We have two powerful individuals that's going to come talk to the community about planning for college education. These two came here before. They did an Educational Thursday presentation that was phenomenal for the women in our community. Talked about loan care, and it was a great presentation. It's up on our YouTube, so they coming back again. They are allies of the community. They want to help give the information that's needed so that we can make sure that we plan and prepare for college in a way so our young people don't have to wait for scholarships or take out loans. They want us to be intentional on how we plan for college for our kids. So just want to tell everybody, thank you guys for the continued support. The people that's been going on our website, sending out donations, helping us build capacity, doing all of the things that we need to do as community to support each other. As you guys know, we switched platforms and we switched over to this new platform to be able to do a little bit more of the things that we need to do for the community. What we was using on Zoom, it was very limited to what we could do. So we still working out the bugs. I know you guys have been seeing some test videos and things happening. We're trying to get this thing worked out. And, with all things, it takes time. So we still working out the kinks. We're still trying to figure out this machine that we have and how we can best utilize it. So there will be some kinks here and there, but we're working them out every day, trying to make sure that we have what you need for the platform. So we just thank you guys for your patience. Thank you for supporting us. Please go to our YouTube channel, Both Sides of the Conversation. Like, subscribe, set the alert. Go to our Facebook page. Those are the two places that you need to go. Our Instagram and Twitter will be coming shortly. Once we go live, we'll be going live on all of our Both Sides of the Conversation social media handles so that we can have all of our people and community engaged. So with that being said, the same thing followed from this last week. Now that we're on this platform, for those of you who are watching on our Facebook page, Both Sides of the Conversation Facebook page, and for you all who have joined, liked, and subscribed on our YouTube channel, the benefit of that is you can have live interaction with our guests. You guys can now send your questions through the chat, and our guests will see the questions live here on the screen, and they can be able to answer any questions. We don't have to look around at all our platforms and see what people are asking. Everything will be right here at our arm's length, right here on the platform. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and bring the two phenomenal guests that's going to come up and talk about this educational planning. We have Chris and Nick here. They are coming back again to give our people the information, and they're going to give us a nice PowerPoint presentation and tell us why it's important to start planning for college. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and let these two gentlemen introduce yourself, and then we'll get right into this.
Thank you, John. John, I got to take you on the road with me and be my hype man. You'll give me a lot of client referrals with all your build up. I appreciate the generous introduction. My name is Chris Zonca with Lincoln Financial Advisors, and we got over here in the other window,
Nick Rotolo. Been working with Chris now for about 4 or 5 years. Brought me on to help out with his clientele, and he has a lot of good stuff to say, and I'll probably learn a few things too. So I'm looking forward to this. And John, you are a great speaker. I will second that.
So thank you for the opportunity to kind of either come into your living room, wherever you're at tonight, on your phone, and really talk about something that is a subject that is near and dear to me. I've been with Lincoln Financial Advisors. I'm in my 22nd year, and I've been helping clients with their accumulation, the distribution, and their preservation of their monies for all that time. And part of that is college planning. And, like many of you who are probably on here who have children, grandchildren, nieces, or nephews, I'm working from home right now, just like a lot of us are. And I have a soon to be 11-year-old running around the house. And so about, 11 years ago, right when she was born, I really wanted to learn the college planning side of financial planning in a lot more detail than how I'd helped clients in the past, and became a certified college plan specialist, and really kind of gave me some additional insight on how to help folks make decisions about saving for college and the importance of college. And times are different, and if you as far as how much college costs, and you might have relatives who are from the Bay Area who went through the UC system. I'm originally from the East Coast, but I'll talk a little bit about college expenses years ago. But years ago, used to be in the state charter that if you go to a UC school, it was really, really inexpensive. I have a friend who's a couple years older than me, and she spent $250 a semester. $250 a semester. $250 today may not even buy a book. So things have really changed. I went to a state school in Pennsylvania. I was very fortunate to be able to be on a baseball scholarship. We'll talk a little bit maybe tonight about scholarships. And I was extremely fortunate between my father getting a second job and having a baseball scholarship that increased every year, that I graduated with only $889 in debt. I remember that number, and I thank my parents all the time about it, because we all have people that we know who are 40 years old and still paying off student loans because the price of college has really gone up so much through the years. So we're going to talk about some strategies today, how to save for your children, your grandchildren, nieces and nephews, whoever is important to you, or even for yourself, on how to save for college. But the first place I want to start off about the saving for college is that I stress to people that when we have the college planning conversation, is think about the context of college planning within your entire financial plan. Okay. Now I'm 49. My wife would not like me to share her age on this call, but we're not 25 years old. We're not 30 years old with a young child. So if we put all of our resources into saving for our daughter's future and not save for retirement, we would wake up one day at 55, 60 years old and not really prepared for retirement. So I've had clients say to me, they run the gamut. On one side, somebody will say, you know what, my parents didn't save for my college, so I'm not saving for my kids' college. These are the exact words. On the other side, people would say, I'm doing everything I can. I'm going to put my retirement on hold, and I'm going to make sure I didn't go off to college. I want to make sure that my kids have that higher education that I didn't have, and giving them those opportunities. All those thoughts are well-intended, well-meaning, but we want to make sure that we fit the college planning into the context of an overall financial plan. And I think one of the most one of the great lessons that prospective, high school students going off to college can really learn is the value of money and the value of education. Certainly, we all know the studies about if you graduate from high school degree versus graduating with a college degree, on how much more earning capacity you have over time, and what kind of career you're going to have. In fact, I was playing the game of life a few weeks ago with my daughter and my wife, and you have that decision. You can either go to business school, and they're going to pay you like $10,000 every time you get to a certain square, or if you become a doctor or a lawyer or some of these other things that are on the game board, that they're going to pay you $16,000. This has been going on for decades and decades. In fact, that is actually in a board game. So, we have these decisions to make. But I think one of the really good ways to learn responsibility about picking a college, which we're going to talk a little bit about tonight, is picking a college that either you can afford for your child or your child can afford to pay back over time. Okay, we'll talk a little bit more about that in a little bit. And Nick's going to be driving here tonight on the presentation. So if you can go to the first slide, and we're going to start talking about all the different ways, the options for saving for college. All right. So we see at the top there's about 8 different ways to go for to save for college, and then on the left going down we have a lot of all the different benefits. And I'm not going to cover all of these. I'm just going to kind of hit the highlights of these. We have the first one, which is probably the most popular, which is the Section 529 College Savings Plan. And that's a plan where it's after-tax dollars, so you take your money home or you have it in your savings, and then you invest it for your beneficiary, which is the kid who's going off to college one day. You save it into an account for them. The benefits of that plan is that that money will grow tax-deferred. You don't pay any taxes on the money until you take it out. And when you take out those monies, they are going to be free from federal taxes. That is the big tax advantage on Section 529 plans. If you take it out for higher education costs, the only taxes you'll pay is going to be on the gains on the state level. Now, all these 529 plans, they're sponsored by a state. So, California sponsors one, Nevada, Pennsylvania, they all sponsor. And really, it doesn't, I know there's oftentimes, there's confusion on which 529 plan should I choose. And I want to keep that simple. In the state of California, which I think most people on here are residents of California. I don't know if John can comment on that or not. But in the state of California, you do not get a tax deduction for contributing to California's 529 plan. Some states offer that. California does not. So you can really go out and find the 529 plan that you see is the most appropriate for you and your situation. And it really comes down to the funds that are available to invest in the different mutual funds. Okay. Now on these 529 plans, lots of things that make them attractive. So for instance, if you had 2 or 3 or multiple children, if your oldest child doesn't go off to college or receives scholarships, gets grant aid money, and they don't need to use it for college, well, then you can change the beneficiary over to the second child or the third child, right? All these types of plans that we're going to talk about here, very easy to start with them. You don't need to be a millionaire to get into these plans. You can start off with as little as $250 or $50 a month taken right out of your bank account, right? And just put it into the account. You can stop them, you can start them, you can increase, decrease anytime you want. So great. I see people watching all over the USA. That's awesome. I hope everybody's safe and healthy and getting through this crazy winter that we're having right now. So, and specifically on the 529 plans, depending on what state you're a resident of, you'd want to know, does your state offer a tax deduction? Some do, but majority of them do not. One of the advantages of a 529 plan is that when we go through the college aid formula and how much aid that you're going to receive for your child or your grandchild, whoever it is that those assets within those 529 plans, they don't count against you as far as how much you're going to be able to qualify for student aid. Right? So there's a lot of advantages, and Nick could probably second. I don't think we've set up something other than a 529 plan in quite a while.
Nope.
Now on the 529 plans, there's no income limitations, which means you can earn whatever you earn, and there's a high limit as every year or every 5 years. And the second one, I'm just going to take a second.
Chris, are you still there? Well, I'll fill in. I'm not sure if Chris is still on or if he lost connection, but I can fill in and answer John's question. Are the 529 accounts compound interest accounts? And the answer is you really have freedom of choice of choosing your mutual funds and how you want to invest it. So similar to a 401k or a brokerage account, you get to select the mutual funds within the 529 plan. So if you have 18 years until your kid's going to college, most of our clients we would recommend you choosing a growth account, something that gets invested into the stock market that can grow over time. And then when the kids get to around 12 or 13 years old, we'll start to make the account more conservative and layer in more bonds so that there's less volatility in the market. And we want to preserve those assets. So you have freedom of choice of mutual funds within the fund, whatever you choose. And you aggressive or conservative as you'd like or feel comfortable with. So it really adds a layer of flexibility.
Nick, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, I'm here. Thanks for filling in there. I'm not sure what happened. So one of the other things that's on the 529 plan is one of the recent changes is that in the past that they were always 529 plans were always only for higher education. Well, with the Secure Act that went into law a couple of years ago, now you're allowed to take up to $10,000 a year for private primary education. So I live in Oakland. My daughter maybe will go to Bishop O'Dowd, and so we can use some of her 529 plans for her high school years. It doesn't have to be just for college. Okay. So then we have Education IRA, which used to be called the Coverdale Savings Account, and very similar to that of a 529 plan, except there are income limitations. So if you make too much, you're not eligible to contribute to it. But the biggest thing that is kind of a hindrance for some folks is that you're only allowed to contribute up to $2,000 a year. Okay. I see a question here. Do 529 plans cover trade schools? As long as accredited university or accredited college. So it depends on the school if they have accreditation. Typically, it would be, it could be junior colleges, it could be four-year school, grad school, but as long as there is it's an accreditation to the school, that's where those would be eligible for. So So on the Coverdale, there are certainly some income limitations on that. Then we have the UGMA and UTMA accounts. These are sometimes called trust accounts. And on these types of accounts, unlike the 529s and unlike the Coverdale education accounts, you're going to pay taxes on the growth of this every year, which will take away from on how much money you'll accumulate. All right. So we want to put the right strategies in place that are going to put you in a position to be successful and save. One of the reasons, though, people might want to use one of these UGMA accounts is they're really not sure if their kid is going to go off to college, right? But they still want to have some money set aside for their future. It might be, well, we want to have money for our son or daughter to have a car or have something else, get them started early in life, but it's not specifically for college. But there will be taxes along the way. Then there's government savings bonds. These are sometimes called double E or I bonds. And the nice thing there is that they are tax exempt. So you don't pay any taxes on growth. These used to be popular a lot many years ago when interest rates were much higher. But with interest rates so low, we might be talking about a 2.5% rate of return, which if you start this off early for your kids, your grandkids, we certainly can get better growth on the funds over time into something that's going to be more growth oriented. And then the taxable account it's similar to the UGMA and the UTMA accounts, except that it's your name. Now, some of these accounts, when we're going to talk a little bit more about this in the future, is that the assets that you have in your name may count against you as far as how student aid or gift aid your child can get. So that's why we want to really kind of personalize and customize the strategies for everybody in our situation. So it is taxable. You get a 1099 on that every year. And so we don't usually see those used too often. The last two are going to be kind of a multi-purpose strategy. So there's life insurance, that's permanent life insurance that builds cash value. That's a really good one if you have a need for insurance on yourself for income replacement. So if I pass away tomorrow, I want to make sure my wife and daughter are taken care of, assuming I live. Then there's some money inside a cash value life insurance policy. And I can use that for college. I could use it for supplemental retirement. And the same thing goes for a Roth, it says traditional or Roth IRA. I like the Roth IRA in this because the thing about a Roth IRA, and there are income limitations on that, depending if you're filing single or married, is that on the Roth IRA, you can always take out your principal without any penalties. All right. Now, who this might work for is that if your child is going to go off to school when you're over the age of, you as the account owner are over the age of 59 and a half, because then at that time you can take not only your principal out, but you can also take out your interest without free of penalty and free of taxes. So really every situation is a little bit different. We don't think financial planning or college planning in this case is color by numbers where everybody does the same thing. So that's why it's really important to have a conversation with somebody, kind of qualified to handle all these different things. So I'm going to go off to the next slide at this point. So here are some examples of meritocracy on different Bay Area colleges, and your acceptance rate, your average SAT score, and the freshman retention rate. So we have at the high scale, we have Stanford, and then we have some other schools that are more of the state school variety. I was a state school guy. My wife graduated from San Francisco State, so certainly relates to some of this data on here. And I think this is an important part of if selecting a school. We're not going to talk a whole lot about school selection at this point, but I kind of liken choosing colleges. We all want to have our dream house one day, But oftentimes the first house that we buy is the house that is going to meet our needs for today, not so much it's going to be our dream home. Same thing here with college. I think we have to make a very responsible choice as far as getting a higher education and going to a school that's going to fit our needs. So I think this is just a little bit of information that talks about the application process. And Nick, you're much younger than I am. I don't know if you remember how much your parents telling you how much it costs to apply to a school. Do you have any information on that?
Yeah, so it depended on the type of school that it was. And you could do some applications in bulk where you could send it to multiple schools at once, but they would charge you, by the application. I want to say it was definitely in the hundreds of dollars. But if you think about it and you apply hundreds of dollars and you apply to multiple schools, maybe 6, 7 schools, you could be putting down a good chunk of money. So that's also a cost that isn't really thought of, is just the application process. And there's some clients that need college advisors to help build the application to get into those good schools. So there's a lot of expenses that creep up unexpectedly, which is another reason why starting these programs early is so important.
Great, thank you, Nick. So this is going to kind of recap some of the alternatives for college planning. If you want to go out to the next slide, Nick. So I'm going to give a little bit more details. Hopefully you can see this better. I know I can certainly see this better. Roth IRAs are non-deductible contributions, which means you don't get a tax deduction for when you make that contribution, which is primarily used for a retirement vehicle. If you withdraw earnings before the age, you see here after the age of 59 and a half, and you've had the account for 5 years, you're free from taxes. There's a 10% penalty if you take out those monies before 59 and a half. And you can use what's called a wait and see approach, right? Will my child be ready to go off to college? Is he or she going to be on that college track? Great, I have some money set aside. If she's going to go off to another, he or she are going to go a different route, then I have that money saved for retirement. Okay. Nick, you want to go out to the next one? Yeah, there's the Coverdale savings, $2,000 a year per beneficiary from all sources. Age restrictions apply. Contributions have to be made before the beneficiary reaches age 18, and you have to use the money by age 30. So, for instance, a lot of times I hear, anecdotally that somebody might go off to community college for a couple of years, and then they take off time. And then they're 25 years old, they go back to school, you can use that money. There are income restrictions. You have the ability to contribute to phase out is through certain income levels. And one of the things I want to make sure I say this before I forget. All these different retirement accounts can be funded by. That doesn't have to be by the account owner, right? So, I know in the past might have been one of my daughter's birthdays, she received money from family members to put into her 529 plan. Okay, you can actually be the owner if you want to set something up for your grandchildren. As an example, you can set up a 529 plan and have the assets in your name. Now, one of the advantages of having as a non-guardian, I'm going to say non-guardian because sometimes grandparents or aunts and uncles are guardians. But one of the advantages of being a non-guardian account owner is that when your child applies for higher education and they go through the FAFSA process, which is the free application for financial student. Talk about that a little bit more here in a little bit. The institution is not going to look at the grandparents' assets. They're only going to look at the guardian's assets or income. So they're going to look and say, mom and dad has a 401k plan that doesn't count against them. They have a Roth IRA that doesn't count against them, but they have $20,000 in the bank, right? They take all that information and they apply it to the formula and how much they're going to give on student aid. But if the assets are in the grandparents' name or the aunt and uncle's name, then that doesn't count at all against any financial or gift aid package. So I wanted to make sure that I covered that before I forget. Nick, can you go out to the next slide?
Yeah, that's a great point. I'm glad you included that one.
Here's the UTMA and UGMA accounts. Earnings and gains are taxed to the minor. All right, the first $950 of unearned income taxes is tax-free. It's a irrevocable gift. The advantage on these types of accounts is not necessarily used for college. But we see here it's counted as a student's asset for the FAFSA. So again, this could work against you as far as trying gift aid as possible. On to the next one, Nick. There's the cash value life insurance. Typically, variable universal life is used because it has potential. Tax deferred growth, potentially tax-free access to cash, and again, no FAFSA, and there's no contribution limits. So we're starting to find out here that all of these different vehicles have their place, depending on what your situation is, depending on what your resources are, depending on where you are in your career. Next one, please. And there's the 529 plan. So we can see here, this is really the plan du jour for college planning. As of June 30th, 2019, $352 billion in 529 plans, all right?
Wow.
Contributions treated as completed gifts with potential for a 5-year acceleration. That gets a little bit into estate planning issues, but no income restrictions, no age restrictions. And then some states do have those income tax benefits, which I mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
Next one, please. So here's an example of the accelerated gift. So, you know, if grandma and grandpa are retired and they're doing fine and they want to gift some money out, and depending on their situation, you know, you're really only allowed to contribute into the 529 plans up to $15,000 per year. The exception with that is that they look at a 5-year time period. So you can see here, somebody can actually do quite a bit of money into these 529 plans, but that will really hit their quota for the next 5 years, right? But that is, as an example, grandpa makes a $75,000 contribution, okay? That also means that grandmother has her own contribution limits. So that you can see the 529 plans, there's a lot of juice to it and a lot of ways that it could be very, very beneficial. Let's go on to the next one, Nick. All right, so here is an example of removing assets for the FAFSA. So there are two different methodologies that schools use to determine their financial aid. Now, there are two different types of aid. There's student aid, you know, which I would call Pell Grants and Stafford loans, and then there's gift aid. Now, even though higher education, by and large, almost all of them are nonprofits, they are in the business of getting students in seats, getting them enrolled. And it's a very competitive industry, right? So they want to, you know, if UC Berkeley is competing against UC Davis, as an example, they're going to maybe want to make a better competitive package than the other school. So most schools use the federal methodology. Some schools use the institutional. I'm going to really focus on the federal methodology because that is where most institutions use. What they do is they take a look at the parental assets, and the 529 plan will lower that potential gift aid by 5.6%. So for instance, If you have a $10,000 529 plan when you apply for the FAFSA through the FAFSA at that time, as typically a junior or senior in high school, they will offset the gift aid by $56. Not a big offset, but you can see as the 529 plans over time get bigger and bigger, that could be something where it adds up to $1,000, $1,200, $1,500, $2,000, right? The offset for parental income is up to 47%, right? So if somebody makes $50,000 a year, they're going to be able to get potentially a better student aid package than somebody who makes $250,000 a year. So that's where the parental income is offset. And then also they take a look at the children's assets and the children's income. So it's great. We all want to teach our kids the value of work at a young age. But they're going to take a look at, Johnny or Mary had a summer job and made $3,000. The gift aid might be offset by up to 50% based of that income. Now, it doesn't mean they were going to get a $30,000 package and went down to $1,500. It's going to be potentially that the whatever income that was earned. If Johnny earned $2,000, then up to 50% of that, which would be $1,000, would be reduced on the gift package. Now, all this information is if asset owned by the parents. And I kind of talked about this a few minutes ago. Some of my advice to my clients, and I'm going to do it. Hopefully, my parents are still alive when my daughter goes off to college. They're 81 right now, but we're going to put my daughter's 529 into their name. So when we go through and apply for gift aid or for student aid or need-based aid, then that's an asset that's not going to help reduce that package. So there's a lot, as you can see here, that goes into not only what are the right vehicles, but how do I use those vehicles to my best advantage so I can have my family member, my loved one, to receive the highest package possible. Now, this is not in a slide in here, but I do want to say this for anybody who are they have children and are divorced, and how colleges look at divorced parents is they're going to look at the assets and the income of the parent who has the majority of the custody. Right. So if mom has the child for 300 days a year, and dad has the child for the remainder of the year, he sees on weekends maybe, they're going to look at mom's assets and mom's income. So just understand that process as you go through it. And there are times where people have changed their custody agreement so they can get a better financial aid package. 529 plan tip number 3: purchasing student housing. Now, this is this gets a little bit away from saving college, but students going away to school, could you buy housing for him and use 529 assets to pay for it? It really depends. The student has to be more than half time. They have to be expenses incurred by the student. So, this is really this is, for instance, if you're living off campus. So, if you're on campus, so what 529 plans really cover are tuition, room and board, books. However, sometimes the question comes up: can the 529 plan funds go to pay for a car I want to buy so my son or daughter can commute to school? Unfortunately not. That's just one example. So tuition, room and board is covered, but each college is going to have a stipend for their off-campus housing. So they don't have to live on campus, all right, in order to use those assets. So, but the child has to be at least a half-time student, and as you see, there's an annual cost of attendance cap on each one of those. So, as it says, these are large tested. You know, we want to be careful on that one. We don't want to, obviously, as it says, there be the name on a case file and not get that right. So, Nick, you want to go out to the next one? All right. So, in summary, all right, we want to determine the need, right? We know college is going to cost a lot of money, right? A lot of folks, they'll send their kids to 2 years for at first. I live over here in the East Bay. I have a lot of clients who send their kids to Diablo Valley College for 2 years. I believe it's something like $1,500 a semester. Very, very affordable. And then once they kind of figure out where they want to go next, then they transfer maybe to a 4-year school. But we know college is going to cost a lot of money. All right, so, but we also have to put this into the context of, all right, how much should I save towards college? How much should I save maybe paying down my house? How much should I save for my retirement? There are different methodologies for the federal methodology and institutional. The needs analysis is the fulfillment of how much that's going to cost. Gift aid versus self-help. And then there's, of course, loans, which are the costs not met by aid. So I think there are a lot of things to review. And I'll say this for everybody on the audience. I'll also say it for you, John. I received another seminar just yesterday, and I didn't have a chance on college planning, and I didn't have a chance to really review it to say this would be great for tonight. But if we wanted to do a follow-up on 520 on the college planning, it has a lot more about the nuts and bolts of college, the cost and the needs more analysis, whereas tonight was a lot on the vehicles used for higher education. So be happy to come back and do that. Nick, you want to go out to the next slide?
Most definitely. We want you guys to come back.
Yeah, there we go. All right, all right. So this is a little bit more on the federal methodology versus the institutional. The federal methodology looks at the resources of the custodial parent group and the student, and they look at it over one tax year. The institutional methodology includes the resources of the extended parent groups, the student, younger siblings, right? So, it's more encompassing, and they look at 2 years of assets and income. So the institutional methodology is a little bit more strict. That's why we like applying to schools that have the first method on it. Next one, please, Nick. We define assets under the federal methodology as non-retirement investments. So you have a 401k plan, 403b, an IRA, Roth IRA, none of those count against you, right? Neither does the equity in your home. The 529 plans don't count very little against you. And on the institutional methodology, it's the federal methodology plus what equity you have in your home. So we know home values are very high in the Bay Area, and unless we're putting, you just bought a home in the last year or two, all of us have some amount of equity. So we can really see, we really want to stay on that left side of the page and look at schools that are getting a little bit more flexible gift aid package. Next one, please. This just talks about the rates of assessment. I think we talked about that earlier. We'll go out to the next one. So here's kind of a case study. So 2 parents, 1 student, 1 younger sibling. The parents make $100,000 a year. They have $50,000 in cash, and they have $100,000 of investments. They also have $100,000 of home equity and $20,000 for each kid in an UGMA account. We can see the expected, what's called the EFC, the expected family contribution will vary by methodology. You can see there on the EFC will vary depending on the situation. this situation works better for those in the second method. Other situations will work better for the federal method. All right, Nick, want to go out to the next one? All right, so that pretty much covers our conversation for tonight. This is our really quick plug. We are on here. I got hooked up with both sides of the conversation to do something altruistically, to do something to kind of give back to the community. Not looking to sell anybody anything. However, if some want to contact us, we do have a team of advisors. Lincoln Financial Advisors is a Fortune 400 company, publicly traded company, and has been around since 1905. I've been with Lincoln since 1999. Nick has been Lincoln for about 5-6 years in different capacities. We have offices in San Ramon, Santa Rosa, San Francisco, Foster City, Campbell, all throughout the state and all throughout the country, of course. So, if somebody wants to, contact us, that information is on there on the screen, and happy to help out, even if it's just answering questions. I do see some comments have come through. Great to see some information that everybody's paying attention. Appreciate your feedback. Nick, you want to go out to the next one? Yeah, so then if you have any questions, feel free to contact us there. And there are a couple of websites on there I think are really great resources, savingforcollege.com and finaid.org. Wealth of information on there. You can spend hours and hours just trying to find as much information as you can. So I think that's completes our presentation for tonight. Be happy, John. Do we open this up for live Q&A?
Yeah, people are sitting. The Q&A was coming in as people were watching. So
Yeah.
some of the comments that was coming in before we had to look for the questions. So now whatever we see here on the screen, what was coming in, I think it was a phenomenal conversation to get the information to the people. I'm happy for what you guys do. Well, one of the questions I wanted to have, because I know at the end of the slide it talked about two parents household. Given the fact that some of the communities are impacted, we have a lot of single family homes. What would you guys recommend, like starting these 529 accounts? Because I didn't really see a lot about to start an account. What will it take? What does that look like? And if it is a single parent, um, you know 15 years, 20 years down the line, starting at the time of a young kid, say 2, 3, 4 years old or something, and they didn't get the initial start. What would that look like to get started, and over the time? And then the last thing would be for the families that's affected. If you do start the 529 account a little later in life, and you don't mature in a way to cover all of the college finances, how would that affect the child when it comes to like maybe financial aid or different supports and things of that nature?
Yeah, I think to your question, John, you can start off as little as $50 a month. Okay, very low barriers of entry. $50 a month. You can increase, decrease, stop it, restart it anytime. You can add additional money when you have it. So you don't have to have $10,000 to do it or anything like that. Very low barriers of entry. When my daughter was born in 2010, and probably was up at 2 in the morning because I couldn't get back to sleep because he couldn't get back to sleep, I would run these illustrations for how much college would cost. And I went out. I didn't run, Stanford, but I also didn't run a very low costing school either. I ran UC Davis. And UC Davis in the year 2028 for 4 years of school was going to cost approximately $224,000. I remember these numbers, right? It's just ridiculous on how much it costs, right? We know college costs have gone up much faster than inflation, much faster than wages. So the conversation I have with folks is look, something is better than nothing. Okay, it's the same thing with retirement. You know, sometimes people will say, I should be saving 10% of my pay. Absolutely right. That's the rule of thumb. But if you only start at 6 and that's what your company matches you as far as a contribution, that's great. And then you work up to it over time. But even so, even if that person does 6% forever, they're still saving money for their future, right? Same thing with the college, right? If you can have, you know, pick a number, you do $100 a month, right? For 15 years, there's still going to be money saved there. And maybe that means that's 1 year covered. Or maybe that means it's, you don't have to pay for books at all, right? You just have to pay for tuition, room, and board. Think about that. If that's, let's just say somebody saves up $15,000 over all this. Think about what a $15,000 student loan will looks like, right? And you're paying that interest back over time. That $15,000 turns out to be $25,000, $30,000 over time by the time you pay it off, right? If you look at the amortization table, right? So doing something is better than doing nothing. It really is. We can't get daunted by, oh, how am I going to save up $200,000? That's okay, because very, very few people do that. The important thing is that you do something. And we're here to give people guidance to make sure they understand their options, give them education, and they try to do the right thing. That makes sense?
Makes total sense. Well put. That's why you guys are here. I mean, you guys are blessing the community with information. Typically, sometimes in our community, this information is not even prevalent, and this is sometimes the informational gap. So, first, I just want to say thank you to Lincoln Financial for you guys stepping up, caring about the community. I know when I talked to Chris through Ms. Davis the first time, he said, "I want to help the people." So we have allies community that's coming on, trying to help us, encourage us, and this is what it takes. The information comes from all shapes, facets across the United States. But people want to see people win. They want to help. If you guys need this help and support, Chris is there. This is just one of the areas. I mean, he's phenomenal. There's different things. I know a lot of people have been reaching out, looking for wealth management, different things of that nature. They was waiting for this today to come on. This is the gentleman I was talking about. This is who you need to contact. He has the information. He has the jewels. He has the juice, the sauce, as we say in the community, to get you where you need to get you on that financial pathway to make sure you are securing your young people's future. Because a lot of times we think we don't know what's going to happen. We can't depend on the sports. We can't depend on the educational scholarships. We as parents have to be intentional on our planning and saving for our young people' future. And the information that he gave was phenomenal tonight, just giving you the loopholes, how you can use your parents and different individuals to help leverage to make sure that our young people are blessed. And I just want to say thank you guys for coming on. I think this was just a phenomenal presentation. And definitely anyone reaching out after this is over, we'll make sure that we connect them with you guys. I know you put the information. We'll replay it in our page, in our group. We'll put it up on our website. And I just thank you guys for coming on. I'm looking forward, Chris, any information or presentations you want to do in the future. You know, we're doing these educational Thursdays all year, especially when it comes to the retirement piece. I know there's some other stuff that you was thinking about. We want to help our people in the community. I want to get them connected with you so that we can make sure that our retirement people are getting the right information and they are putting up the right amounts, because far too many times it's happening. Our elders of the community are retiring without enough savings and funding, and it is costing us. And with this pandemic, it has showed if you're not properly prepared, whoo, it can be long days for us all. So I really just want to thank you guys. If there's anything else you want to say before we close out, please let the people know. Thank you, and Nick. I mean, this is beautiful, beautiful, beautiful for our community, and I can't wait to continue to share this information.
Nick, you have anything you want to close with?
I just want to say thank you, John, and thank you, Tashelle. It's great to be back. And just I'll leave with one thought for everyone. You know, $50 a month for 18 years. You can imagine where that can go. So it just starts with getting it set up and having a conversation.
Yeah, and whether it's for college, for retirement, what you don't save, you spend. I'll leave that close with that one. I wish everybody safe, be healthy, And we look forward to seeing you a little bit down the road. Thanks so much.
Hey, thank you guys. I appreciate it.
Thank
Well,
you.
you guys, there you go. Another educational Thursday. You guys asked us to bring people on the platform to educate, get the information. They showed up. Shout out to Lincoln Financial for doing that. Shout out to Ms. Davis for making the connection. See, it's people that really care about getting the information. A lot of times we hear, oh, people holding the information for them. People are giving us the information. I just want to thank them for coming out. Chris doing a phenomenal job on this, and it's just going to be beautiful. More information coming. The better we get it, the better off we're going to be in the future. We just want to make these connections now. We want to start thinking now. We're trying to shift our paradigm to make sure we are doing the things that we need to do intentionally to make sure financially we can set our futures up and share that generational wealth with our young people so they don't have to struggle and go through the obstacles that we have to deal with the loans and the different things. We want to help these young people get ahead. So wonderful presentation from Chris Nim tonight. I'm just impressed with them. They come on first class, top tier. Lincoln Financial should be proud of the people that they have out here representing the community in the capacity that they do, and we thank them for that. And so, with that being said, we're going to start moving on to Sunday. You guys know this Sunday at 2 p.m. we have another Sunday conversation. We are stepping into part 2 of our relationships. Last week was phenomenal, fireworks everywhere. But it was a great conversation talking about these relationships and how do we build them? How do we heal them? How do we repair them? Because we know it's far too many divorces, there's far too many breakups in our community, and we want to heal. We want to bring people back together. We want to unify this love, and we want to stop this gender war between our males and females of the community. So I'm looking forward to part 2. Should be very interesting. We have some phenomenal men stepping up. I've already seen it. The ladies was asking, where are the men at? The men are coming. I saw a couple brothers register today, so I know it's going to be some men this week. Now, if they show up, they show up. But I know they signed up, so we should have some men, and we have some phenomenal sisters that's going to come on, and we're going to start working through some of the solutions. I know last week there was a lot of fireworks about what's wrong, what's the problem, and I think this week we're going to tie in and kind of recap some of that. But we also going to start working on the solution. How do we repair our relationships? How do we date? How do we court? How do we make these things work when we have difficult relationships? So I think it's going to be a phenomenal conversation. So I'm looking forward to this Sunday. And then next Tuesday, we're going to roll into our segment of our hidden gems where we continue to highlight our Black and brown businesses, and we highlight leaders of the community, people that are doing phenomenal things for the community. We're going to continue to highlight them. But I know for sure this Tuesday, we have our young people coming back again. These are the kids that are currently in high school in the 12th grade that are doing phenomenal things in their education, getting ready for college through college prep. These kids were supposed to be on a week ago. We had to move them around because we had some elected officials come on to talk about some of the things that they were doing. These kids are excited. They've been waiting. They like, oh, we can't wait till Tuesday. So I'm looking forward to seeing some of our young people that's going to come on, talk about the amazing things that they're doing. They're holding up these GPAs that are just phenomenal in these times through the Zoom school, and they are accomplishing things that a lot of people just wouldn't be able to bear in these times, dealing with the Zoom and the different obstacles that they're faced with. So looking forward to this Tuesday for that education hidden gem segment. I think it's going to be phenomenal. Here at both sides of the conversation, we believe in our young people, we believe in education, and we understand that is the way to success and freeing themselves. And you can see how we are intentionally making sure that our families get the information so that we can support our young people and get them to college. And then the following Thursday, next Thursday, we're going to have an educational Thursday by our brother Art Burton. He's going to come on. We're deciding which one he's going to do, but it's going to be something with financial literacy or investing. He is a phenomenal brother doing some things. So we'll let you guys know as the week progresses what the actual topic is going to be about. But it's going to be another phenomenal educational series next Thursday. So looking forward to that. And we just have a lot of phenomenal things going on here at both sides of the conversation. Community is coming together. People are getting behind it. Shout out to the people on the East Coast. We have been getting so much love from the people on the East Coast. I'm just so impressed with the people that are following and watching. I'm loving it, loving it, loving it. Keep on sharing the information. Donate, support us. We have our hats that we are sending donations out for. Some of our swag and some of our gear is going to be coming on. Some of these hoodies and shirts are going to be coming to our website. We are still working to build this website up. We're getting our business resource center on the website, connecting all of our business in the community. We have some phenomenal things coming, people. Keep supporting us. We're going to keep building this platform up. We're going to continue to bring the information to the community, and we're going to continue to show love back to the community. And that's just what we do here at both sides of the conversation. So thank you guys for supporting us. We are still looking for mentors. We are a couple of weeks away from kicking off this next cohorts of our young people for our virtual mentoring program. So if you are a male or a female that is looking to give back to the community, you want to be a mentor, you want to drop some jewels and help mold some of these young people into phenomenal individuals, you still have an opportunity. Please go to our website. You can log in at www.bsotc.org. I'll put it up on the screen. You can log in, click under join to be a mentor or a mentee. We are taking applications still. We have about a week and a half left to get the final mentors and our final mentees. So if you are a parent out there and you are looking for your son or daughter to get some mentorship virtually, we are still taking applications. Please go to our website, sign up so that we can get your young people in. And if you want to be a mentor, doesn't matter your age, come on and give some of these young people some love and support back to the community. We need it. We need it. We need it. And I think it's going to be a phenomenal 16 weeks. We are doing a 16-week virtual mentoring for our young people, our young males. You guys are going to be proud of these young people when they leave these 16 weeks. We are going to be teaching them how to tie ties. We're going to get them ready for interviews. We're going to teach them how to deal with conflict. We are going to be working with a lot of things to help these young men and young ladies be successful. We're going to be doing some etiquette training. We are going to be teaching our young people some phenomenal things. And I'm looking forward to seeing what this first class of these 16 weeks turn out to do. It is going to be amazing. We have some amazing collaborations coming on with SF Rebels, Black to the Future, YCD, 100%. I mean, it's a lot of people that is, we are going to do some things that you guys just sit back and wait. It is coming. We are doing some amazing things for the community. So I'm just excited. Please go to our website, continue to support, click the donate. We need support to continue build this platform, and we're going to make this thing better. And we're just going to do it one step at a time with the help of the community and the people that get behind us and support us. So we just want to say thank you. We love you, and we'll see you guys this Sunday. We are now leaving. We love y'all. Keep doing the work, and we'll be here to support you. Good night.